And welcome, guys. Welcome to the Hair Wire, the place where you get hair smart. Thank you for tuning in. This is another live broadcast here at YouTube. What can we say? We love our hair. We love talking about hair. And this is the place where you get hair smart, the Hair Wire. I'm Sergio Cardona alongside with Sam Dipsy and Kerry Jarrett. How you guys are doing?
We're doing well. I'm recovering from some kind of a virus that my daughter brought into the house, and that is going to cause me some kind of a Telogen Effluvium episode very soon. I'm aware of that. So I am preparing myself.
Hey, You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, well, and I'm Kerry Jarrett, you guys. I'm doing good. Things are good. But Sam, I want you to explain to people what you mean by the Telogen Effluvium, how you can prepare for the hair loss.
I know.
Yeah.
So I know, right? We talked about this, about Telogen Effluvium, which is a classification of, it's a kind of alopecia. And alopecia is a broad word, and it has so many classifications. Telogen Effluvium in particular, when an event happened, or like a fever hit you, or coming out from a surgery, an event that disturbed your body, what happened is your body got so tired from wherever it is disturbing it, and it gets overwhelmed. Your cytokines will be like all over the place. The inflammation goes up, and what happened is your hair does not be able to hold the nutrients to be stronger as it is always. So it pushes itself to a telogen phase. A telogen phase is when your hair follicles opens up and the hair goes out. That's what a telogen phase. So any inflammation, any disturbance in your body, very sharp disturbance in your body, what happened is your hair follicles weaken and your hair will start to shed, and you will have an episode, what we call it, of Telogen Effluvium. It can be massive shedding, or it can be just abnormal shedding of your daily, because your daily shedding, your normal daily shedding is different than mine, is different than Kerry and Sergio. So if my daily shedding is average 100 hairs, then after an episode of sickness, my daily average will be maybe 200 or 300. That's what I will call a mini Telogen Effluvium episode. But sometimes it will become like massive amounts of telogen, like scary amount of shedding. That is what we call an acute Telogen Effluvium episode. That's what I mean by that. And since I am been listening to Kerry and Sergio for that long, I understand that because of my sickness, I'm going to go into a Telogen Effluvium within a week or two. That's why I am preparing myself for that episode. And how I prepare, I take very high vitamin C doses. And I was telling Kerry that people, what they do, they just take 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. Actually, our body cannot process more than 500 at a time. So you'll take 500 in the morning, 500 at lunch, and I think that's enough for one day. I'm hitting myself with a lot of zinc, and zinc, usually the better version of zinc that is absorbable by your body is the one that you put under your tongue, the liquid one, a dropper under your tongue. I'm making sure I'm good on my vitamin D. I am making sure that I take a good rest, have my bone broth, my liquids, my chamomile tea to relieve any stress I may have. So when the episode comes to me, it comes to me nicely and gracefully. So I will be prepared to it. So instead of, like, if I didn't do that, I may shed 500 hairs a day, but now hopefully I will be shedding just 150. I am very hopeful.
No, I like the way it sounds. People, who are watching, folks, what we are talking about here is preparing the body for a stressful event. I mean, it already happened in this case. And because it already happened, we know that there's going to be some setbacks because of it. So we want to make sure that we kick in our follicles again into the anagen phase, to the growing phase. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is to protect the body by helping the immune system get a quick recovery after you got sick, after you got you flu or sore throat infections, something like that. I mean, after those amounts of stress in the body, we need to make sure that we correct those. And this is the subject for today, guys. Today we're talking about stress. Today we're talking about body stress, mental stress, and all stress combined, because this, guys, is one of the key factors that makes a lot of people experience continuous events of telogen effluvium that over the years will create acute or chronic telogen effluvium, and people may sometimes mistaken this by androgenetic alopecia. And this is huge. I mean, yesterday I was talking to a guy who had two transplant surgeries, SMP, and one of the surgeries that he had, they took out body hair and hair from the beard, to have on his scalp, and they made an amazing job up front, but he's still, not as well, too well covered on the back. The thing is, when I look at his hair, the pattern of hair loss, though it may look like androgenetic alopecia to many, is actually telogen effluvium, what he was going through. And this guy has been popping finasteride for over 20 years. Okay. Yep. That's bad, and now, he's combining with minoxidil and oral minoxidil. And, I was telling him, let's take a step back and realize what is really happening here, because if you're actually experiencing telogen effluvium, then not even the minoxidil or the finasteride will work on you. And although you already had hair transplant and you're considering a third one, he's also, he's considering the third one. And, this donor area looks good, but hey, you can harvest up to 7,000 follicles, and he already harvested about 5,000. So yeah, about 5,500 follicles he already harvested on that area. So he has about 1,500 follicles left to give. If, and the surgeon who may be able to do that needs to work very, on very delicate area, because this, he has been harvested 2 times already. So Bez, you already know about this. You worked with a surgeon before, so this is complicated. And the thing is, for him, it has been stress, all about stress. This guy works at on a pharmacy, in the pharmaceutical industry. So yes, half of my family lives on the pharmacy industry, and it's stressful, very stressful environment. And because of that, they experience a lot of hair shedding. So preparing the body is usually the first thing that we want to do after and before we understand that we're about to undergo to a stressful event. But after the damage has been done, what can we do? Can we still prepare the body for a couple next events? And the answer is yes. Anything you want to add, Carrie? I see you nodding. So,
oh yeah, it's a big thing. I tell my clients, I'm a cosmetologist during the week, a couple days a week, and I prepare all my clients. I know their routine, I know their career. My accountants, they have accounting season come up. I'm like, accounting season's coming up. You guys might want to prepare, get your yoga classes in line, and and last year I had a traumatic year, but I managed it with stress by doing things that help calm me, meditation, exercise. I worked out. I did things that filled my cup. It's epigenetics. It's, and we're talking on this topic. When we talk about stress, you guys, a lot of times people think there's one type of stress. Yeah. That's false. Absolutely false. In epigenetics, and that's my specialty, is we examine 4 areas of contributing stress. Intake stress, anything your body absorbs and consumes. So medicine, Wi-Fi signals, food, you name it, your body is absorbing it. That causes stress on the body. Next one is environmental stress. So your everyday stress, how you perceive the world. You have 2 people with the same amount of stress. One might take on that stress stronger or more than the other person. It's how you perceive it. And sometimes it's just changing your perception of how you see things. For example, getting ticked off that somebody left a cart in the parking lot. Looking at it with sympathy and empathy versus anger will change that perspective. That is stress. The third stress we examine in epigenetics is, we got to find a different name because but like residential stress is what it was coined, but it's being changed because other circumstances. But it's just stress that is trauma stress that hasn't been
Properly
corrected,
managed.
properly
Yeah.
managed. So
Yeah.
a trigger might trigger that. So for example, you have a bad boyfriend that was physically abusive at 17, and then your 40-year-old self runs into them at the grocery store. Well, your body retracts to that version of yourself
Yeah.
at 17, raising new stress. And that needs to be addressed with psychology and the correct avenues. And then the fourth one is physical stress. And physical stress could be getting anything from hurting your back in a car accident to the way you carry your body. For example, women, we're taught to be modest. So your chest down, shoulders in, and normally you want to stand pride and have your chest out and, you know, be that beautiful peacock and show yourself off. But because we're in a world where they're like, no, be modest and humble. So of course you cave in, you get the hunchback, and now we're in a world, we're on computers. So now we're looking like we have hunchbacks, and that's causing stress on our body and our physical body. Yeah. So, and it's really important to understand the areas of stress. And yes, you may not be quote unquote stressed, but maybe in that particular area of stress you think you have, which everybody thinks there's only one type of stress, which is completely false.
I like what you mentioned, Carrie, because when I got back from Italy, one of the things that we were taught was about 4 types of stress that affect directly the scalp. And it was pretty much like the same categories. It was digestive, it was emotional, psychosomatic, and physical. So basically the 4 areas that you just mentioned work together, and that's how they name it. The physical, the emotional, the psychosomatic, and of course the digestive type of stress. And I agree. When we understand that there are different stimulus that can trigger an hair shedding event, and we may prepare better for it, and understand that during our lifespan, we will encounter multiple events of hair shedding. And keeping our hair is a lifelong task. People don't realize it. And be like, why does this person has so much hair, and why do I get affected by it? Hey, that's your genetics. That's the way the way it works out for you. That's the way your body reacts to it. I mean, some people get heart attacks, some people get cancer, some people get hair loss. Hey, that's just you. So deal with it. And we need to properly deal with it by addressing the issues that are causing it. So in this case, in this scenario, we're talking about stress. Biz, anything you want to add?
Yes, I want to add one very important thing that we overcome all the time, which is how our trauma, how we bottle our trauma inside ourselves. And this is the worst kind of stress, because we kind of deny it in a way, and to resolve that kind of stress takes a lot of like enforcement from psychology and a lot of treatments, like psychoanalysis treatment, and which me including, like we don't appreciate it in a way, and we dismiss it. It's like, it's okay, I dealt with it in the past. But what happened is our parasympathetic system is not aligned, and what it is not aligned, even like we don't have stress in our body. We created the life that we want to live, but still at certain points with certain triggers, it comes up. And Carrie said a very important thing. Some triggers will get you back in time to the point where this trauma happened. And then you realize 20 years has passed and you didn't get over that. And these short events, even though we are aware of them, but our body secretly and unconsciously is dealing with that, and that stress alone can affect the hair loss episodes. Or
it's a triggering event. I mean, right. You had that event in the past, and remembering it, or something right. that may get you to remember back right. again, is all over again the same right. stress.
Right. And also, it's not, maybe that trigger won't be massive to a place after 20 years that to trigger a telogen effluvium episode. But what happens, Sergio, if that trigger happened with the same time that your vitamin D is low, with the same time that you are exposed to a virus, with the same time that you are short on time and trying to do your presentation, what happens is it's increasing your load one thing at a time. And then when your cup is full of these events, it will trigger a telogen effluvium episode. You got me? It's just not one thing, so many things together. And we cannot control it sometimes. Sometimes it's just so how no matter how much you prepare yourself, sometimes it just can catch you.
I want to talk and mention, for instance, my wife and I, we lost our child about 12 years ago, and it was traumatic. Every anniversary, every year, we would go to the same stress, and particularly for my wife, she was experiencing hair shedding, particularly around the same time every year, and every time we come to the anniversary, it will flare up. And we went through a psychologist, psychiatrist, and it's been taking quite a time, to get right about this subject. And finally, I'm being able to maintain my wife's hair, but now she has a lot of short hair in the many different places because, again, the shedding that she has been sustaining on yearly basis because of these events. And I like to open up about this subject, and I know that many folks may feel related. Maybe you lost your father, your mother, your husband, your wives, your sons, your neighbors, a good friend, even a job. Things of that nature. A loss is a loss, and whenever you experience that, if it's very traumatic for you, you're going to relive that every year. You're going to relive that every time you see something that may trigger or may help you remember what happened. So dealing with that is crucial to keeping your hair, because otherwise you're going to be experiencing a lot of hair shedding. And for instance, me being a trichologist and having my wife suffering for extensive hair loss for years, it's quite, difficult in terms of business like and everything. But hey, it's what happens to us, and we're dealing with it. We're working with it. And the thing is that after, we have been properly being trained by our psychologists, to work with it, it hurts less. And because it hurts less, we're finally getting to a point where it's getting balanced. It's not like it doesn't hurt anymore, but it hurts a whole lot less. So you're able to work it out, and that's the whole idea. So we were mentioning about the different triggers, different types of stress. Now, one of the ones that we mentioned, if that makes sense, was about digestive issues, what we intake. Now, how can something that we take inside our body can create stress?
Oh, I'm good at this. I'm an expert in this. I have celiac disease. So for me, a big trigger for me when I have a bad celiac attack, I lose my hair. I lose it in large lump sums, primarily because with celiac, your lymph nodes don't absorb all the nutrients it needs, and it has a big effect. And my husband is already aware that if I have a celiac attack, it's also going to have another ripple effect where I'm going to get in severe depression. And mainly because is when I'm not getting the proper nutrients distributed to my brain, and the nutrients I need for all the other parts, it has a ripple effect. Mind, body, spirit's all connected. So I have the lack of nutrients from having the celiac attack, and then the lack of nutrients to my brain causing depression, which also causes a blip in my chemical system, causing hair loss on top of that. So for me to prepare that, my husband makes sure we know that we increase all the vitamins and stuff that are going to help heal my gut. So that way it's not going to be as harmful. So like we'll increase all the food rich that are going to heal my gut, like aloe vera, all the food healing foods. And I focus on not eating things like that for 2-3 weeks after that attack, or having accidentally getting contaminated, I won't eat the things that you got to be more cautious about. I won't do alcohol. I will watch my refined sugars. I'll watch certain foods that will be a little more harder on my body, so that way I don't have such a severe attack. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
So I'm preparing my body because I don't want to lose that hair. It sucks. I hate it. It's scary. And so I'm like, I think, do I want the wine and chocolate, or do I want to make sure I have good hair in 3 weeks? So I usually go with the hair. So I'm a hair person.
Oh, wine, chocolate. Oh my gosh. I know.
It's good in small doses, but when your system's been attacked, then you don't want to cause more excuse for it to wreak havoc on your body, especially when you suffer from depression on top of it. So like, I don't suffer from depression, but celiac, a lot of people get depressed because of the lack of nutrients to the brain. So yeah.
No, actually what you said is perfectly right, because any disturbance in our digestive system, it will actually disturb the neurotransmitters to our brain. And I went through this exactly the same. I don't have celiac, but what happened is when we suffer from trauma for a long period of time, your gut lining got compromised, and when your gut lining, you will get leaky gut. What happens when you got leaky gut? You will be sensitive to all the foods you eat. Like I was sensitive to cucumbers, strawberries, like the food you eat. So all these food sensitivities is why these food sensitivities happen, because our gut is compromised. It is not doing its proper working system. That's why anything you eat, it will register as a toxin, basically. And then and then that's it. Then your system start attacking itself, and then you will start having Telogen Effluvium episode. So it is start with the gut. It has a great connection.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wanted to ask, do you think that age has something to do with how we manage our different types of stress?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Very good question.
Different stresses. Yes. Oh my
I
gosh.
love this question.
I had stress in school, but now I have humans that are in school. I have stress for them.
I know. Yeah.
I mean, life
absolutely.
changes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Also our way of seeing things changes too, right? So that same trauma that happened to me 10 years ago, now I look at it with grace. Okay, not 100%, but almost there.
Yeah.
But I look at it as like, okay, what happened? I process it in my head, So I was like, this is where it went wrong. This is where I did my share of mistakes and the circumstances around me. So I understand, I process it. And now when I remember it, it doesn't trigger that fight or flight response. Now it doesn't trigger that. It used to, every time something happened or I remember it, I feel like I should escape or I should run away because it's a massive danger. Now I was like, no, okay, I should do this, but so we process it differently. So now when I remember it, it doesn't trigger hair loss anymore to me. It triggers more peaceful processing in a way. And till now, I have ways to process, but it is not as painful as you said, Sergio.
Yeah, because you have matured in the way in the process.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's not here, it's here. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I like what you mentioned, because as we age, the way we think changes, the way we see things changes.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of young people coming to our clinic recently, and it has been kind of curious, but because usually people that come to my clinic are in their 40s, in their 50s, up in their 60s. That's the vast majority of people that come to our clinic. People who are looking to get better at their health, because again, things are changing in their lives. We're getting older, but as we are younger, we care less about many things, So seeing younger generation, people in their 20s come into our clinic in large numbers recently, has been preoccupying me a bit, if I may share, because we're seeing a younger generation who are getting more involved into getting their health together.
Nice.
And that's kind of new. So that's why I wanted to bring the age question in, making sure that we're covering all bases here. Yes. But understanding that different types of stress at different levels in our lives can have different reactions. And it's important that, whenever we are tailoring a system or treatment plan, we understand the age and the type of stress that is happening, so that we can work around that and help people get their hair back. And that is just amazing. We have to go. We have to cut it short here today, guys. But anything that you guys want to add before we leave?
I was hoping that these guys that's coming to your clinic serves you with better vision for their health. They are already on the hair wire. That's why they have a better vision of health.
Yeah.
They're listening on the hair wire.
Definitely.
Maybe that's why they're getting hair smart.
That's true. People are getting hair smart here at the hair wire. Why aren't you?
Nice.
Just remember, subscribe. Hit the subscribe button, guys. And the notification bell, so every time we go live, you will see, and then you can visit us.
Now, before you guys go, we do have a summit coming up. It is a virtual summit. It is going to be ongoing for 6 months. It'll be available to end of March 2024. So if you hop in now or hop in later, but if you do hop in now, we do have early bird pricing, so you want to hop in. However, we are having bonus speakers talking on the area of stress. So we do have speakers talking to the patrons and speakers talking to the professionals about hair loss, types of hair loss, solutions, treatments, options, and educating people on types of alopecia, because there are more than one type of alopecia. I can't stress that enough. There's more than one. But we do have a handful of more than a handful. I think we have 6 to 8 speakers coming to talk on the area of stress. So whether you're dealing with hair loss or anything with your scalp, you don't need that. These are people who just want to benefit from stress. We have Stephanie Cordova, who will be talking about mindful spaces and how your home could increase stress, and she gives you great tips. We have Kim Lyle, who'll be talking about different ways to perceive stress and your perceptions. She is a brilliant mind who talks about that topic. We have Jackie McDonald coming and talking about EFT tapping, which is a solution to help you to de-stress. Megan Alton, Chelsea Gronick. We have some great speakers. So you guys go to our website, thehairwire.com, click on the tab summit. You can see the speakers, and we'll have the teasers on there. And if you're coming in the middle of the year, say December, January, watching this live, you can still watch the videos. They're available till end of March 2024. So there you guys go. Get hair smart.
Get hair smart here at the Hair Wire. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.